This week, a special edition from the showrooms of Walker Chevrolet and a back alley or two, and we'll meet some real live cruisers from the past, present, and future. So stay tuned.
Hey, buckle up. Are you holding on? All right. From the home of the hot rod, Tacoma, Washington, it's time to go cruising northwest. Brought to you in part by Walker Chevrolet, the home of the heartbeat of America. Chevrolet for 1988. See it at Walker Chevrolet, 633 Division Avenue on the Park in Tacoma. And now, here's your host, Dick Page.
Oh, it's great.
Scott Henderson, thank you for bringing your car down to Walker Chevrolet.
That's all right.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here.
Well, you guys are doing a nice thing displaying cars down here. How'd this get started?
Well, actually, it started after the Rock and the Dock show, and we got so excited about the Street Rodders and this organization that we started bringing our cars. And I think it's the third one we've had in the show.
Right. Bill Perry had his 58 Impala down here, and Bob Davison had his Chevy down here.
And we're absolutely delighted. We have a lot of people come in. It's a good place to display them. Look at this display. It's gorgeous.
It is a beautiful car. Nice to remind people what Chevrolets have always been.
I think so, and I don't see that we're going to end it. We just, as long as you keep bringing them in here, as long as you've got the cars, we're going to let them be in the showroom, okay?
Oh, great. You guys are doing a lot of things. What else is it that you're going to be doing this summer? I know you got plans.
Well, we get kind of excited after the Rock and the Dock, and there's a big event coming up July 23rd. The Credit Union in the Park, second annual event is going to be held at Wrights Park. That's the same weekend as the block party, and we're going to do a rod show right here at Walker Chevrolet, a big one. A great big one.
Now that's across from Walker. From Walker Chevrolet is Wrights Park. Wrights Park, as you know, is inconveniently located, but well worth finding.
Oh, we're inconveniently located, okay? But we're worth finding, right? But anyway, we're going to have a big show right here. A great big weekend, July 23rd. You got to mark it in your calendar for sure. It'll be great.
Oh yeah, we're going to try to do a live remote right from the happening.
All sorts of things.
Scott, you want to tell us a little bit about the Chevy that you've brought today?
Well, this is a 55 Chevrolet Bel Air convertible. It happens to be my wife's. It seems like anything that's worth a toot around the yard has got her name on it. We've owned it for about 3 years. We've had a lot of fun and enjoyment with it. It came out of Eastern Washington. It was restored in about 1972 and has had about 16,000 miles put on it since then. This is one of our cleaner classics. We have a couple others, but they aren't quite this nice. Okay, the interior of this car is reasonably new. We had it redone at Parkland Upholstery here in Tacoma. If you notice, the stitching is two different sizes of the stitching to make it back to the original. The colors are original, which were rather hard to find. They had to be ordered out of California. It wasn't a kit that came made up. These are chrome reversed wheels like were available in the old days. The hubcaps are off a 1955 Chev. They are new reproduction hubcaps. The white wall tires are radial. They aren't the original type tires. This is what a 1955 Chevrolet engine compartment looked like when it was reasonably new. This colors on the engine are correct. The air cleaner is correct. The oil bath oil filter is correct. The battery is not correct, but it's kind of hard to find the original type battery. The radiator hose clamps are not correct, but basically when this car is on display, it is displayed as an original restored car because it is close to being what it was when it was original. The license plate is a special license plate, and when we applied for it, we had intentions of it standing for soft top, but we've had a couple of people ask us if it stood for San Francisco toilet paper.
One of the things that we're going to try to do in the future, incidentally, is a lot of the people here at Walker Chevrolet have specialty cars. That is, street rods, customized Volkswagens. I know one fella drives a street rod to work almost every day. There's a couple of dragsters in the crowd here. These are people that are employees of Walker Chevrolet. They really do know cars. And what we're going to do sometime in the future is we're going to go around some of the homes. We're going to take a camera out there. We're going to take pictures of some of these cars. Some of them are under construction, so it may not be next week when we do it, but we are going to do it because this is interesting. I'm glad to see people on a level in a dealership like this involved in cars. Makes it to where you're not afraid to come in and try to get a little advice and buy parts and come in and get the help that you really need. Dealerships can be very, very helpful to the average rod builder. And don't go away. We're going to be right back with more Cruzin Northwest.
Great.
Each department in 1987 contributed to our great success at Walker Chevrolet. Now we need to go into 1988 with a more aggressive and positive way.
88's looking real good. We put a lot of miles on the courtesy van. 87, and we're going to put a lot more on it for 88.
I'm really pleased with our personnel. I think that's the most important part of our store. That is the big asset of our dealership, the people we have working there. Walker Chevrolet, inconveniently located at 633 Division Avenue, Tacoma, but well worth finding.
Hey, how's your bump? Big, little? Makes no difference at Meridian Collision Center on Puyallup South Hill. They do the tough ones with quality workmanship, fair prices, and a full 3-year written warranty. And that's the way it's been for nearly 20 years at Meridian Collision Center. Complete frame and body repair for everything from compacts to buses to semis or motorhomes. 157th and South Meridian in Puyallup. Meridian Collision Center.
Adventure training in the Army National Guard.
Okay, folks, a lot of times you go to rod runs and car shows, you see those beautiful thin lines painted on cars. That's what we call decorative pinstriping. And in this particular instance, this is Junior Nelson that you see at work here. He's loading the brush with a combination of paint and a reducer for the paint. He's going to lay some lines on Scott Henderson's beautiful 55 Chevy convertible. This is for demonstration purposes today. We're going to show you a little bit about pinstriping, and in the later editions of Cruzin Northwest, we're going to follow up and show you how to take it through to a completed project. A steady hand is a must. And Junior Nelson, the man behind the brush, is an expert at this. This is called a sword brush, a pinstriping brush. Mac brushes are available. They cost $3 or $4. A single half pint of one-shot striping enamel costs about $5.60. Not a horrendously expensive thing to get involved in as far as materials and tools go. It can be very gratifying. We're going to talk to Junior in a minute about the cost of striping. Junior Nelson, longtime friend, pinstriper extraordinaire. I want to thank you for being with us here today. And Junior's going to share with us some of the secrets of pinstriping from time to time on Cruzin Northwest. We're going to have some installments. This is installment number 1 for those of you that are taking notes. Junior, you want to tell us a little about your background in striping?
Well, Dick, I go back a few years. I started doing this when I was about 13 years old. I've heard you mention about the same time frame. I don't think we probably knew each other at that particular time in our lives, but I worked at it through my teenage years off and on, but wasn't too many people are ready to step up for 13, 14, 15-year-old kids to be striping on their cars. So it's a few more years, it was about 24, 25 when I started taking people's money. So it's been going on for about 19 years now that I've been striping.
Well, in 19 years, you've certainly gathered a lot of expertise. And would you describe to the people some of the products that you use and maybe a little bit about some of the basics? I noticed earlier you were cleaning the finish. What do you use to clean the finish with before you start?
Well, Dick, I've been using the 3M product here, this general purpose adhesive cleaner, for a well-prepared or a well-cured paint job, I should say. This is excellent. It dries quick, it cleans the wax and grease off the car, and some of the other products I've used, the Sherwin-Williams makes a good product too. I haven't used it for a couple of years now, but they make an excellent product also. Distler makes an excellent product. This works good.
For the people that don't know, the wax and grease remover, the purpose of that is to remove the wax, grease, and oil from the finish so the paint will actually adhere, and you have to wipe it on and then wipe it off with a clean rag. You want to show us a little bit about the paint, Junior?
The paint that I've used over the years for the general cars, the average cars, is one shot. It's a lettering enamel, a striping enamel, and it works excellent. It's long-lasting. It'll last as long as a paint job will. If you keep your paint job up and take care of your paint job, the striping will last that long also.
And what do you use to reduce it with?
I use mineral spirits most of the time. Sometimes I'll add a little lacquer retarder to it, but I don't recommend that for the guy that's starting out. You got to be a little careful with that, using lacquer in enamel, but it does work for me. But generally just mineral spirits that I carry with me, and at times kerosene, depending on the weather.
Thanks for being with us today, Junior.
Thank you, Dick.
Okay. Bellevue Community College, a beautiful site for an event like this. There's one of those Cadillacs that wasn't supposed to be there. A 34 Ford commercial vehicle. Boy, commercial vehicles are really hot. Hard to restore, too, because they're usually pretty badly battered from years of use and abuse. Model A sedans with luggage racks and a Corvette independent rear suspension. If you've never been to an event like this, you're in for a real treat this year. 1929 Model A sedan. Beautiful gold leaf striping, and again, that luggage rack. For those of you that don't know, that folds down and holds the excess luggage in the back. They let late model cars in there, Mustangs, Galaxies, and a 35 Ford 5-window coupe. Neat car, old-time mag wheels, something for everybody. This guy's a fan of dark windows. These people are engine fans. That's probably about a 1940 Chevy. I'm not real sure about that being at a Ford event, but I'm going to wire a Chevy grill shell on the front of my Ford next time somebody puts on an all Chevrolet event. See if they let me get away with it. This guy took the nice way out on this 34, 5, or 6 Ford commercial vehicle. A handmade wooden flatbed on the back. Nice idea. Very stylish. There's another one of those Oldsmobiles again in the background. I don't know how they do that. And Lord, a chopped Pontiac. Completely bone stock bodied Pontiac with a whole bunch whacked right out of the roof of the car. This is a gorgeous black car from up Seattle way. Speaking of gorgeous, a 36 Ford Roadster. He's even got the chrome strips on the hood, and a 50 Merc. Quite an event. One that we really enjoyed going to, and you're going to enjoy it if you take it in next year, Bellevue Community College. And now, from the warmth and comfort of Walker Chevrolet's showroom, on a very rainy day, we're going to go visit our friend Harry Schaffert and see what's shaking in Harry's garage, or Harry's hot rod shop. Hi guys. Hi Harry. How you doing? This is no surprise to you. You knew we were coming. Harry's working on a 32 Ford frame. This is my friend Harry Schaffert. Harry and I have been together for a long time. We used to go to Lincoln High School together here in Tacoma. Members of the Old Timers together for a long time. Yeah. Harry's had a lot of nice cars, and in case you don't know, Harry works on a lot of cars for a lot of people. A lot of your friends. You do beautiful wiring, a lot of chassis work, construction work. And I've been kind of cut out of the picture. I used to do some body and paint work for you, but geez, you went and learned it all yourself, Harry.
I try to do some of that too.
Harry does a good job. Introduce your friends here, Harry, will you?
Oh, this is Larry Thompson and his boy Brian.
Come on over, Brian and Larry. Larry is one of my students in the night class out at Clover Park in a custom painting class that we have. And tell us a little about your car.
Oh, I have an old Model 8 coupe that Harry's helped me a lot and given me information on how to go about making it into a reliable street rod.
How about Brian here?
Brian's my best helper. He gets right in there and he wants to learn all he can too.
New generation right here, folks. You saw it here first on Cruzin Northwest. Go on over, Harry. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Larry. Harry, when I first met you, you had a 23T Roadster, and I don't want to tell any stories out of school or anything, but if I remember right, that car was painted black with a brush in high school and had a greasy old 42 Ford flathead in it with a single carburetor.
Yeah, when I started out, it was a spray can paint job and a brush painted frame, and I redid the car about 3 or 4 times.
And Harry doesn't like to brag, but I'm going to tell you that that car was one beautiful piece of machine work when it was finished. After the 4th complete rebuild on it, the car was candy apple blue, handmade steel fenders, lace painted over metal flake, blue tinted clear plexiglass running boards, all handmade nuts and bolts. Just a gorgeous car, which is now, what, in California, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's down in the San Francisco area. Haven't seen it since I sold it.
And after that, you built what? Did you build your Plymouth sedan after that?
Yeah, I finished the 4-door.
48 Plymouth 4-door sedan?
Yeah, Shiv powered and Shiv running gear underneath it.
Naturally.
Drove it for 13 years, and I sold it here about 3-4 months ago.
And your 40 pickup came next, didn't it?
Yeah, I think I built that next. It's hard to remember myself, but yeah, I did that, and it's got a Mustang independent in the front and 350 Shiv with a turbo and 10-bolt rear end.
And then about that time, you built your 29 Roadster Highboy.
Yeah, I think I did the Roadster next. I had started it about 8 years, and it took me 8 years to finally finish it and get it all together.
And now what are you doing here? You're doing a brand new car now. This is a 32 frame for yourself that came out of my frame jig over at my house, and you've been adding brackets and hanging suspension components on it?
Well, yeah, this frame here is mine. This is the one I did in your frame jig, and then I'm doing this one for Doug Neslin. And I copied the chassis I had and then did the triangulated 4-bar suspension. And
all right, we're going to be back with some more Harry Schaffert right after this. We're going to see a viewer car. 36 Ford Roadster, owned by Mr. Eric Perkins of Grapeland, Washington. You know, back in the 40s, folks, this was a premium cruiser. A chop top, Carson-style lift-off, filled-in running boards. A beautiful car, a 36 Ford Custom. When cruisers get together, they can perform miracles. Here's one of another kind. 52 Merc, owned by Mr. Dan York. The flames were designed and taped by myself, sprayed by John Downing with some assistance from Gary Ebert. A fine job by all concerned. We have a 46, 7, or 8. I'm a little weak on that. 48 Chevy, I think, sedan delivery. Commercial vehicle. Really outstanding because it's two-tone, purple and black. Takes all kinds of people to make a function like this happen. Young, old. Some of the cars have been recently built. Some like this have been around for quite a while. This is one of Denny Olson's projects from years ago. Denny now owns Denny's Street Rods by Denny, actually, in Enumclaw, a new business that he's promoting. He's doing some of the work on the Rick Pop giveaway car the Vintique is giving away. This is the modern trend in street rods. I mentioned some of the new stuff. This is the smooth look. Door handles removed, door corners rounded, molded in, rain gutters shaved off, front end all welded in one piece, interrupted only by a louvered hood. Speaking of interruptions, that man in that Woody looks like he doesn't want to be interrupted. Probably listening for termites. That's one thing about wooden-bodied cars in the Northwest, boy. You got to use a lot of wood preservative. A great-looking car, though. This is what you can do if you can't find an old car body. Speaking of bodies, everybody likes the bad boy. The bad boy car, Chop 51 Merc. A gorgeous thing. I wonder if Sean Penn knows about this car, the bad boy indeed. Look at that, the bad boy 51 Merc, chop top. That's the way it used to be. We used to call those gangster windows, just big enough to get a gun out of. Bad boy. All right, we're back here at Harry Schaffert's house. Harry, this is a 32 Ford frame rails, an old set of beat-up rails that you straightened out and put in the jig and welded everything together. You want to tell our viewers a little bit about some of the modern components that go in this? People get the idea that these old cars have to stay old, and that's not true, is it? Just like remodeling a house.
Okay, I got a Model A crossmember that I fabricated up, which lowers the car about an inch. And then we got a Model A spring that reversed the eyes in the main leaf, and it's got Teflon between all the leaves to improve the ride. Got a 3.5-inch Ford beam axle that's dropped, Ford spindles, and I got Volkswagen disc brake kit on it.
Now, by dropped axle, what we're referring to, for the people that don't know, is the axle is actually heated and bent in a forge. The center of the axle is forced down. The ends of the axle are stretched up in a new shape to actually lower the car closer to the ground for streamlining and stability. People ask me a lot of times why we lower these cars so much, and hey, there's really no reason to have all that ground clearance anymore. In the old days, old rutted country roads, big old 18-inch wheels and tires, you really needed that kind of ground clearance to be able to drive a car down those old country roads 40, 50 miles an hour, flat out, bouncing and banging down those highways. But that's not true nowadays with the modern highways and everything. There's no reason for a car to sit that high. So, yes, we do lower them. It looks better aesthetically and actually provides a much better ride because the center of gravity is much lowered, much improved. And with the modern powertrain, you really need the disc brakes and things like that.
Also on this car, I got Mustang steering gear and a stainless 4-bar steering arm. And
4-bar is the axle locators. That's these shiny things that you see here that are round. They control the axle movement and prevent the axle from moving forwards and backwards under braking and steering conditions. The particular design, originally brought out by Pete and Jake Street Rod Shop in California, it's called a 4-bar.
Can't add much more to that, Nick. You covered it. I got 2,000-pound stainless brake lines on it.
Well, thanks for the explanation, Harry. And now we're going to look at some of the magazines that are available for people. We get a lot of letters from people inquiring about magazines. All right, one of the things that happens is people write in and they ask us about magazines, where they can get books on the subject of street rodding, restoring cars, kit cars, things like that. And there's a lot of magazines on the market. Of course, the oldest one and probably the most popular, of course, is Hot Rod Magazine, originally published in 1948. If you got any of the old ones, they're really valuable. They're available on newsstands. One that's not available on newsstands is the NDRA magazine. It's called Drag News. This comes out sometimes in a newsletter form and sometimes in the form that you see here. You have to join the Nostalgia Drag Racing Association to do that. Street Scene Magazine, you have to be a member of the National Street Rod Association to get that. That goes out with your membership. Street Rodder Magazine, of course, is familiar to you, Harry.
That's one I read all the time.
Yeah, and that's available on the newsstands everywhere, as is Rod Action Magazine. A new one on the market that's especially good is American Rodder. And there are quite a few others. Street Rodding Magazine, a lot of them available on the newsstands. And if you're really interested, you can find something that pleases you. And Harry, we're going to go look at a viewer car now. Actually, this is more than just a viewer car. This is the car that won the under-21 division at the NSRA West Coast Nationals in Salem, Oregon last year at the Northwest Nationals. This is a beautiful car and a fine example of a car built by a young man, and I, for one, am very glad to see such a traditionally styled roadster being built by someone under 21 years of age. And in case you didn't know it, Mr. Gasket Company is going to step up and they're going to sponsor the under-21 division from now on at all the NSRA events.
Back by popular demand. The greatest rock and roll offer from the 50s, 60s, and early 70s. Those fabulous hits by the original artists. No, you still don't need your credit card, check, or money order to take advantage of this incredible offer. The golden era of rock and roll, absolutely free 24 hours a day. Only from Seattle's oldie station, KVI 570 AM.
Hey, cruisers, it's new and it's exciting. And it's what you've been waiting for. It's Cruzin, the magazine. And it's here now. Available at all Performance Corner stores, along with other select Northwest locations. And Cruzin magazine for October will have even more color and even more pages. You'll want to get in on our special Cruzin offer for new subscribers. Just $18 for 12 issues. And with your paid subscription, we'll send you a free copy of the collector's first edition of Cruzin. So be sure to subscribe now and get into Cruzin, magazine that is. Send your $18 check or money order to Cruzin Magazine, Post Office Box 774 in Freeland, Washington, zip 98249. Subscribe now. Remember, if you're not cruising, you're losing.
Get set and ready for cruising to the Western Washington Rod and Custom Shows Saturday and Sunday, October 29th and 30th at the Puyallup Fairgrounds. You'll see Ken McCandless's 1941 Willys Supercharged Coupe. It's the fastest A-gas street-legal street rod in the Northwest. How fast? How about 154 miles per hour in 9.1 seconds and gorgeous inside and out. And meet the man himself, Ken McCandless, at the Western Washington Rod and Custom Show, October 29th and 30th. The power plant's a supercharged 355 cubic inch Chevrolet V8 with side draft carburetors. It's Paul Lewis's 1936 Cord Classic, complete with leather interior, power seats, windows, and air. It's the only Cord street rod in the U.S., and it's worth $100,000. Don't miss it at the Western Washington Street Rod and Custom Show, October 29th and 30th, Saturday and Sunday at the Puyallup Fairgrounds. They're taking it to the street. Puyallup's the place. The Western Washington Rod and Custom Show, sponsored in part by RB's Obsolete Automotive, your one-stop street rod parts center in Snohomish, and by Big Wheel Auto Parts. Visit one of Big Wheel's 15 locations throughout Puget Sound. The Western Washington Rod and Custom Show, Saturday, October 29th, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m., Sunday, October 30th, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Admission $5. Senior citizens, $4. Kids under 12 with parent free. See you there.
And whenever you see Larry Stevers' 33 Ford three-window coupe, you know it's time for Cruzin's Scrapbook. Here's Alan Davis's 32 Ford pickup from the Duke's Car Club in Spokane. One of the first cars I did when I started my shop after high school, bright purple. Here's a car that I did in high school, George Tyler's 56 Oldsmobile, full custom car, 59 Chevy quad headlights, scoops everywhere, tube grill, pearl pink. This was my car in 1963, a 32 Ford five-window coupe, all tuck and roll, white everywhere, even the firewall, the top insert, and running boards and all. If you look real close, you can see the front wheels are painted silver with a spray can because I didn't have enough money for 4 chrome wheels. John Thomas's 50 Chev hardtop, little tiny white tuck and roll interior and candy apple red toner over red metal flake. Real pretty car. This was Tim Smith's car. 51 Ford, two-door hardtop Victoria. I chopped the top on this and save a little bit of money. We padded the top and covered it up with vinyl. This is my friend Junior Nelson sitting in Steve Scott's Uncertainty, a real famous car from the 60s. We didn't work on this car here, but Steve was a friend of ours, and this was Junior's car at the time, 29 Model A coupe that I painted green metal flake for Junior. This is my first colored metal flake job. Metal flake used to come just gold and silver. This is Bob Jasper's 49 Olds. Well, it was a two-door sedan. Sawed the top out of it, put a 55 Chevy roof on it. Bob did a lot of work on that car. Speaking of Bob, this was Bob Schoenhoven's 65 Impala, originally done by Tom Chafin in Hollywood, later redone by Phil Schaffert in Portland. Bob Schoenhoven's 65 Chevy Impala. Well, thanks a lot, folks, for sending those pictures in. Keep it up. Cruzin Scrapbook is one of our most popular features. We'll see you next time with another edition of Cruzin Scrapbook. All right, that's our scrapbook feature for this week.
I enjoyed the scrapbook feature.
I'm glad. Harry's paid to say that. And I want to thank Harry for letting us come into his garage today. And Harry, I'm sorry I called you cheap.
Well, it's okay. I'm glad to have Cruzin Northwest here today.
We're glad to be somewhere. Thank you, Harry. Now we're going to go back to Walker Chevrolet. We're going to close out our show. Thanks again, Harry.
Okay.
All right, we're going to say goodbye from Walker Chevrolet. That's another edition of Cruzin Northwest. I want to thank Junior Nelson for sharing some pinstriping expertise with us today. And thanks Walker Chevrolet for letting us use their facility. And Linda, thank you for bringing your car. Scott, I'm sorry that you pretended that it was yours earlier. I was under a misimpression. I didn't realize it was Linda's. Well, that's it for another edition of Cruzin Northwest. And thanks again to Walker Chevrolet. And we'll see all of you next week, same time, same station, for more Cruzin Northwest.
Promotional consideration provided by J.D. Birds at 6th and Sprague in Tacoma. Chicken prepared the way it should be. Low fat and cholesterol free. Get the good bird at J.D. Birds. Cruzin Northwest is brought to you in part by Walker Chevrolet, the home of the heartbeat of America. See it at 633 Division Avenue on the Park in Tacoma.
Hey, cruisers, we'll see you at the Western Washington Rod and Custom Show. Don't forget the last weekend in October, October 29th and 30th at the Puyallup Fairgrounds. We'll see you there.
No, 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 no,
you ain't